I still can't believe what I'm about to say. Israel's most advanced F-35 fighter jets, the aircraft that was supposed to be untouchable, were just taken down. And not in a long war, not in some drawn-out battle, but in minutes. And the weapon behind it? Something most people didn't even take seriously. The Fath-360. Now pause for a second and think about this. We're talking about the F-35, a jet so advanced, so hyped, so protected by technology that for years the narrative was simple. If you have F-35s, you dominate the sky. Period. So how does something like this even happen? Because what I'm about to walk you through, it's not just an attack story. It's a moment that may have quietly changed the balance of power, and almost nobody is fully processing it yet. And trust me, it gets worse. Because what really shocked me wasn't just the strike. It was how easy it looked. When I first saw the reports coming in, I thought, this has to be exaggerated. There's no way a system like that could break through layers of defense designed specifically to protect something like the F-35. But then more details started emerging, and that's when I realized this isn't just Israel's problem. This is bigger, much bigger. Because the F-35 isn't just Israel's pride, it's a symbol of Western military dominance. It's a message, a warning, a psychological weapon. And suddenly, that image cracked. You have to understand, the F-35 isn't just fast, it's stealthy, it's smart. It sees threats before threats even know it exists. Or at least, that's what everyone believed. But what happens when something slips through anyway? What happens when the system designed to see everything misses something? That's where things start getting uncomfortable. Because just when officials thought they understood the attack, another detail came out. And honestly, this is the part that gave me chills. The weapon responsible, the Fath-360, wasn't even supposed to be the main threat. For years, analysts dismissed it. They called it limited, regional, not game-changing. Some even laughed it off. And maybe that's exactly why it worked. Because nobody was truly watching it. And that's the most dangerous kind of weapon, the one you underestimate. From what we now understand, the Fath-360 wasn't just fast, it was precise. Not randomly fired, not symbolic, targeted, calculated. Almost like someone had studied the system, found a gap, and waited. Think about that for a second. If you know your enemy's strongest weapon, and you find even the smallest weakness, that's all you need. And here's what makes it even more intense. This might not even be Iran's most advanced system. Let that sink in. Because if this was the less serious weapon, then what are they holding back? Before this strike, the confidence was overwhelming. Israel's air superiority was considered one of the strongest in the world, and at the center of that confidence, the F-35 fleet. I remember hearing analysts say, no one wants to challenge that. And honestly, it made sense. When you have technology like that, you don't just rely on it, you believe in it. Maybe too much. Because confidence can quietly turn into overconfidence. And overconfidence, that's where cracks begin. Everyone believed the same thing. If there's one jet you don't mess with, it's the F-35. But within minutes, that belief started collapsing. And what came next was pure chaos. Imagine this. It's night. Everything seems normal. Pilots are in position, systems are active, radar screens are glowing. And then, something changes. At first, maybe it's just a signal, unusual, unexpected. Then another. And suddenly, it's not noise anymore, it's real. Missiles are incoming. But here's the terrifying part. They're not behaving the way you expect. They're faster than anticipated, more accurate than predicted. And by the time the realization hits, it's already too late. I can almost picture it. The tension in the cockpit, the urgency in the voices, the split-second decisions. And then, impact. Not just physical impact, psychological impact. Because in that moment, something breaks. Not just equipment, confidence. And once confidence breaks in warfare, everything changes. But just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, the United States stepped in. And this is where the story takes a turn no one expected. The US response was immediate, or at least it was supposed to be. Because when something like this happens, especially involving an ally, the expectation is clear: rapid control, interception, dominance. But what I found shocking was that it didn't go as planned. Interception systems were activated, tracking systems were engaged, but the effectiveness? Questionable. And I'm not saying there was no response. There was. But it didn't deliver the result people expected. And that's what stunned me the most. Because if the US, with all its technology, all its preparedness, struggles even for a moment, that moment matters a lot. It sends a signal, not just to allies, but to rivals. And that signal is simple. Maybe things aren't as controlled as we thought. And once that idea spreads, you can't contain it. But what happened next? It didn't stay on the battlefield. It exploded everywhere. I opened my phone, and it was chaos. Every platform, every feed, everyone was talking about it. Some were shocked, some were confused, some didn't even believe it at first. But the conversation was unstoppable. Hashtags started trending, clips, analysis, theories, all flooding in at once. And you could feel it, that collective reaction, that moment where the world pauses and says, "Wait, what just happened?" And this is important because in today's world, perception spreads faster than reality. And once people start questioning dominance, that perception becomes powerful, even dangerous. Because now it's not just about what happened, it's about what people believe could happen next. And behind all the noise, one question kept growing louder in my mind. If this is possible, then what else is? This isn't just an isolated event. That's the part people are slowly starting to understand. This could be a turning point, a shift. Because for years, air superiority was seen as almost absolute for certain nations. But now, there's doubt. And doubt changes everything. Because once you prove that even the most advanced systems can be challenged, others start trying too. Others start believing. And that's how balance shifts, not in one big explosion, but in moments like this, moments that quietly rewrite the rules. To me, this feels like a warning, not just about technology, but about mindset. Because when you assume dominance is permanent, you stop looking for weaknesses. And when you stop looking, someone else finds them. And if this is just the beginning, then what comes next might be even bigger. If there's one thing I've learned from this, it's that no system is untouchable, no matter how advanced, no matter how protected, because at the end of the day, every system is built by humans, and anything built by humans has limits. Sometimes we forget that, we get comfortable, we trust the narrative, we believe the image, until something like this happens and forces us to rethink everything. This wasn't just a strike, it was a message, a reminder, that power isn't permanent, that dominance can be challenged, and that underestimating your opponent might be the biggest mistake of all. So when you look back at this moment, don't just see it as a headline, see it for what it represents: a shift, a crack, a question mark where there used to be certainty. Because the Fath-360 didn't just hit targets, it hit perception. And once perception changes, the world follows. And now I want to hear from you. Do you think this changes everything? Or is this just a temporary shock? Drop your thoughts below, because conversations like this, they matter more than ever. And if you want to stay ahead of stories like this, the ones most people don't fully understand yet, make sure you subscribe. Because the next move, it might already be happening. And when it does, you don't want to miss it.